So it's Sunday, and Esther arrives home. They had quite a bit of fun. They decided to stay the night with her dad. And Riley, Grace, and Raven, they went back to their house. So anyway, Esther arrived home, and she did some exercise. She took a shower. She was getting ready to check her computer. Oh, excuse me. When she noticed someone was at the front door. She checked the monitor, and it happened to be her good friend John from Data. And she opened the door and knew that this was going to be important. She didn't know what. John explained quickly that they had a real big issue going on. The leader of the China Communist Party was staying at a downtown hotel, and he had been taken captive, it appeared, by 5 Chinese radicals. And what John said, he had good people. He didn't think anybody would be able to handle this issue as well as Esther, especially since she speaks Chinese. And so Esther took him into the middle bedroom where she opened her special closet. She grabbed some dark clothing and went to the restroom, put it on, came back out and said to John, "Do you have a plan?" And he said that he does. She could gain entry, perhaps, as housekeeping. So Esther took off with John. Those hotels about 10, 12 minutes away. First, John went into a on-site trailer, coordinating trailer with Esther. Esther studied the monitors and saw that there were 5 people in the room, 2 in the living room and 3 in the bedroom. And it looked like the communist leader was on the bed. So she asked a woman in the trailer for her jacket, and then she asked one of the co-workers for his cigarettes and a lighter. And John gave her the hotel key to all the rooms. Esther had studied the floor plan for the hotel. So she got out, walked to the back of the hotel, stood there and smoked a cigarette just in case anybody was watching. Then went inside, went over to the elevator for the staff, house staff, and grabbed a cart with some towels on it and went up to the sixth floor and quickly made her way down to the communist leader's room. Nobody was outside of the room keeping guard. However, she had removed her jacket, put him on the side of the cart, and was looking very professional, like a cleaning lady, a towel lady. Knocked on the door and said, housekeeping, and knocked again, housekeeping. Then she let herself in, knowing she'd be taken. And so on the inside, she quickly came face to face with somebody holding a gun on her. And she acted very innocently and played up that she was housekeeping, only came to replace towels. And if they didn't want towels, she would leave. She repeated that several times, and she behaved intimidated and scared. And the man with the gun on her, he started to buy into her story. He had checked all the towels on the cart. No weapons were hidden. So when he turned to the other person in the room to see what he thought, Esther quickly moved, struck him in the neck, breaking his neck. As he fell to the floor, she had grabbed his gun, put a bullet between the eyes of the other person in the room. And while doing all of this, she was making her way to the bedroom door entrance, burst inside. There were 3 men in there that had been seated, and they were getting up and ready to see what the commotion was. And Esther put a bullet in each of their heads, killing them instantly. The communist leader, Xi Jinping, had been handcuffed and was on the bed wearing very nice black silk pajamas. Esther comforted him quickly, saying that he was now safe, all the terrorists were dead, and that he had nothing to worry about. Esther saw a bulge in one of the terrorist's pocket. She kicked it, and it sounded like keys, so she checked. It was keys, and she found a key to the handcuffs, so she uncuffed the Xi Jinping, and all the while comforting him, saying that all the terrorists were dead and that they had been on the most wanted list for China. Esther followed things like this on the internet, having a Chinese citizenship. And so Esther pulled her phone out, called John, said, "All's clear. We got 5 dead." John said, ask Jinling if it's okay if we come in quickly and remove the dead people. And Jinping nodded yes. So quickly, John's people came in, cleaned up the 5 dead people, the terrorists, brought in a Chinese interpreter. She spoke to the communist leader and expressed that his wife's airplane had just landed, and she'd be joining him in a little bit, and that the room would be clean before she got there. And so Esther made her way out of the room. She spoke to John and told him she really believed that there was no further danger, that these 5 acted on their own, and that any other danger was non-existent. So John took Esther home, and inside of Esther's house she found Brandy asleep on the sofa. So she went over to Brandy and woke her up softly. Brandy smiled at Esther and said she was thinking of her brother all day long and how Esther reminds her of her brother. Not in appearance, but in confidence. She said her brother always had great confidence, and Esther does too. And there's so much alike in that way. And Esther helped Brandy to bed, tucked her in, and then Esther went to the bathroom, washed her face, and she noticed somebody outside of the door again. She went to the door and checked the monitor, and it was Danielle, Elizabeth, and Tracy Ann, the WOW twins. They were in town again. So she opened the door and very excited to see them, and they said they were back in town for a grudge match, and their champion wrestler, Bo Jackson, he was going to wrestle somebody called the White Rhino. And they were having fun, enjoying things, and they knew Esther would want them to come by, and so they were very exhausted looking, and Esther said, what can I do for you? And he said, well, all we need is a shower and sleep right now. So Esther said, well, you know where the shower is, and they quickly had stripped down and were in the shower. Esther put some of Day's clothes out, and after the twins showered, they had removed all the black makeup. Their hair looked a little more relaxed. They had come with it looking quite elaborate, with some spikes in the hair. They both had short pixie hair, and they both looked good and more relaxed. And they asked Esther, please sleep with us, and Esther said, well, she was ready for bed too. So all 3 jumped into bed and quickly fell asleep. And in Esther's bed, people usually share dreams. And Esther found herself in a park with the twins, and they were all about the same age, 12 or 13 maybe. And the twins were running up to their dad, and he was buying everybody a popsicle. And Danielle spoke to her dad and said, do you know Esther's father? Or asked him. And he said, well, yes, I do. And Danielle asked, well, what's he like? And, oh, he's a wonderful person, and he agrees with me that you 3 are a great team. Well, the twins really liked to hear that, and Esther did too. And it made them all feel very good. And that was a short dream that they shared. After 3 hours, Esther woke up wide awake and rejuvenated. She went out to the kitchen to start breakfast proceedings. Got a few things going and then did her exercises. After about an hour and a half, Brandy came out half awake, slowly walking towards Esther, looking for the great morning Jamaican coffee, when the twins came through the hallway from Esther's side of the apartment, and diverting Brandy immediately, she diverted herself, went up to the twins and said, "Oh, welcome home, welcome home. It's so good to see you. We've missed you so much." And she hugged both and gave them a hug and asked how long they could be in, or would be in town. And they explained they were back for a WOW grudge match. And they'd be here through Friday, and the grudge match would be on Saturday. Afterwards, they'd leave. So they had breakfast. Brandy hated to leave, but she had to go to work. And she said, "I'll see you later." And Esther, she had to go to school, and she told the twins, "I still have a lot of money on the debit card for shopping," and she left it with him. She left him the fob for the Cadillac Escalade and told him have a great day, that she'd see him after school, probably about 3:30. And Esther went outside and she had a new bike. Got on her new Kawasaki Ninja ZZR1400. And it had a restriction of up to 180 miles per hour. I believe it's an inline 4-cylinder. Extremely fast. And it looked good. It was very responsive. She loved the bike. So she's riding down the road to school, and she's watching the readouts on the inside screen of her motorcycle helmet, which John had updated again. Mo, the AI intelligent system in her helmet, was showing all the criminal history of people on the street and giving distances to different objects. Highly organized AI information on the inside screen of her helmet. So she also had Mo call Day, and she told Day while on the way to school that the twins were back in town, and Day became very excited. And so she asked for how long, and Esther told her, through the weekend, because they were doing a grudge match downtown Chicago. And Day asked how they looked, and Esther said, "Well, they looked tired last night, but they looked happy. They're doing what they want to do." And so Esther pulled into the school parking lot about the same time as Day, and John and his two buddies were in the motorcycle parking lot waiting for Esther. They had made it a habit to wait for Esther to arrive. And they noticed immediately Esther had a new bike, And John was very impressed. He said, Esther, that's an awesome bike. And Esther said, well, you know, I talked to my cousin, Jan, and I told him to hold 3 bikes just like this for you in case you guys want to do your final upgrade to one of these. And he's making you another offer. If you prefer, though, he'll give you maintenance on your bikes for as long as you own them. And John and his 2 buddies, they were all about upgrading to the new ZZR1400. And Esther said, well, I thought you'd do that. So I told Jan that Esther would pay for a custom paint job for all 3 of them as their graduation gift. And all 3 guys got real excited and happy about that. They all gave Esther a big hug and thanked her so much. That was their first ever gift for graduation. So all the 3 guys and Day and Esther, they started walking to school to start their day.